people think in voice acting, it's all about the voice, but it's not. Today, I'm going to tell you it's all about embodying a character, discovering how to bring your roles to a place with authenticity and emotion. It's about bringing your character to life. Let's get started. What's up, everyone? RileyChaseFox here, aka Ronnie, and I am going to tell you guys why it is so important for you guys to focus on the character rather than focus on the voice. So a lot of the times, you have a lot of these people, well, actors in general, that are so hyper-focused on creating a voice that they forget to play the character. So I picked 5 very famous voice actors who talk about how they created the voices for the iconic characters that they play. And these voice actors are Mark Hamill, Tara Strong, Tom Kenny, Jennifer Hale, Frank Welker, and Peter Cullen. Obviously, finding the voice, because in voice acting, it is all in the voice. But also at the same time, it's not all about the voice. It's also being an actor and expressing emotions and playing the character and identifying your character and being able to play off of other characters, because acting is reacting. So with voice acting, you got to express everything with your vocal cords, with your voice. And you do that really, really well when you understand your character and you are creating a character rather than a voice. The voice will come naturally when you start to play the character the best that you can. Now, obviously, you do need to identify a cool and unique voice. And as a voice actor, when you understand all of your vocal cords and you understand placement, you understand speed, you understand articulations, pronunciations, and you're able to play around with your face and willing to look stupid and ridiculous, you will find the perfect voice to voice that character, and it will be iconic. So I'm going to go ahead and react to some of these voice actors who have talked about how they created the voices for these iconic characters. So let's go ahead. We're going to jump right into Mark Hamill.
I really have to congratulate myself on this one.
The one that I was most intimidated by was the Joker, because I auditioned thinking there's no way they could handle the backlash of Luke Skywalker being this icon of villainy. And of course, your friends always point out, your actor friends said, dude, I wouldn't want to follow Jack Nicholson in anything. I went, oh no, I forgot about that.
Oh, there'll be a hot time in the old town tonight.
But I thought the only way I can do this is do my version. And it's based on the script that they gave me and the one drawing of him. He seemed to be all teeth. All teeth. He reminded me of the Blue Meanies in Yellow Submarine. You draw from all different elements, because I was doing Claude Rains from The Invisible Man. Crazy? You think I'm crazy? I'll show you who's crazy. I had so much fun doing that character, because he's insane. And if you're insane, you're unpredictable. And if you're unpredictable, you're never boring.
And he had that incredible laugh.
Oh my gosh.
Where did that come from?
So I had quite an arsenal of laughs in my repertoire already. I said to the producers, I don't want him to have just one laugh. I think his laugh should be like the colors on a palette, where it reflects his mood. And I remember reading an interview with Frank Gorshin where he talked about, it's not that the Riddler laughs, it's what he laughs at that defines who he is. So his Riddler is like one of my favorite comic book villains of all time. I love Frank Gorshin.
So obviously we know Mark Hamill is arguably one of the greatest voice actors of all time. He's up there, not just being a voice actor, but an actor in general. Everyone obviously knows him from being Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars universe. But what he says right here is Mark does a really good job at expressing when he was playing the Joker, which he's super famous for. When he was creating his voice, he looked at the psychology of the Joker rather than the voice. And it's brilliant because he's trying to create a voice based off of the descriptions that he got from the Joker. He said he got one picture and he noticed that he was really grinning. It was all teeth. And he talks about, it reminded him of the Blue Meanie from the Yellow Submarine album from the Beatles. So he's pulling from you know, what he's seeing. And he said he's all very teeth. And I think what he says is, dude, it's so great, is that when you're insane, you're unpredictable. So that's what the Joker was. He's a lunatic. He's insane. He's crazy. And that makes him unpredictable. So even though he understands the Joker, he doesn't understand the Joker, which means he's creating this character and the voice just comes natural to it. So when he talks about Frank Gorshin, who plays the Riddler, he said it's not that the Riddler laughs, but it's what the Riddler laughs at. He's pulling from, okay, why is he laughing? What is he laughing about? So he's taking the 5 W's and the how. The who, what, when, where, why, and how. Why is he laughing? Where is he laughing? Who is he laughing at? When is he laughing? How is he laughing? Mark Hamill, top tier. Amen. All right, so this next one that we have is arguably one of probably the most successful female voice actress of our generation. Tara Strong, she's in almost anything. She voiced so many characters from our childhood, from Timmy Turner to from Fairy Odd Parents to Raven from Teen Titans, and now she is Miss Minutes in the Loki series. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna listen to her, and she strongly emphasizes on the importance of getting into the character's mindset, getting into their world, and thus you can find the emotion of that character. And you can find the voice of that character.
Raven, she's so important. She's so important. When I think about how much she's touched people's lives, you don't know when you book a show like that it's going to be so important to people. When I first went in, I thought I was going to book Starfire because character description for Starfire is she's a grown-up Bubbles. Well, I'm a grown-up Bubbles. And at the time, I was doing something like 5 different dark, tragic teenage voices. I was Batgirl for the same network. I was Kylie on Extreme Ghostbusters, Sharina Wicked, Ingrid from X Middle School, from Fillmore. Like, how do I make this girl different? Every single character I create has to be different. They're their own entity. They live in their own universe. They live up in my head when it's their time to play. And I didn't know how I was going to make her different. And at the audition, I just went into my acting mode. I just imagined where she was and her scenarios, and it was very similar to my own voice, which is Batgirl. Again, it's all the same people. So I knew as I was reading it, this probably isn't going to fly because it's just Batgirl. And I left the studio, and on my way out, I had this idea, and I turned to Andrea Romano, who is absolutely one of the most brilliant voice directors, and I said, can I try one more thing? And she said yes, and she let me go back in. And I just had this idea to have this weird little roll every time she said anything. It just came out. It was just a God shot. It was just this organic thing that I decided to go with. And that's what booked the part. Well, I knew she was half demon. Her father is basically the devil. I mean, he's a horrible demonic character. And I knew she had that inside of her. So I felt like if it was this deep guttural role that was constantly gnawing at her goodness, that if there was this deep inside darkness that she had to fight, that maybe it comes from somewhere so deep down and low that it's like this constant role. It's this constant reminder. It's this constant voice in her head to fight for goodness.
When you're voice acting, you have to tap into the ability to make something believable without it being there. It's a completely different art form than on camera. You have to let the audience feel what it's like to fall off a cliff without there actually being a cliff there. Like, you kind of have to be willing to play around and not afraid to look silly. And then once you create a character, in my experience, they like live up in my brain and they're just ready to come down when it's their turn. So I don't confuse them. They all are their own entity. Basically, I'm a crazy person.
So obviously with Tara breaking down Raven, she says something that what I was taught by some voice directors too, is that these characters live in your head. They're their own entities in their own world. And when it's time to play, you bring them out. And when you're able to recognize that certain characters, there's certain characters that voice actors will voice that it's just their normal voice.
They either start to pitch it up really, really hard or really, really high, and then they say, okay, we need this character to be up here. He's a small little dude, and he does his thing.
I mean, like, obviously, when it's time for them to play, they bring him out. So she obviously knows that Raven is the daughter of the personification of evil, the devil, in this sense, in their universe, in their world, and she's trying to be good. She's trying to be a good person. So she's constantly at battle with like what inherently she is, and then trying to be. So she knows there's like that constant pull of trying to be good, but battling that evil that's inside of her. That's inside everyone, essentially. So she starts to bring out that role in her voice when she talks. And it's not necessarily that she is bothered by people or the people around her. And then this is when you start to like play with pitch and speed. Now, obviously, if I was Raven and I was talking really, really fast, I wouldn't really go along with her character. So she starts to slow it down. And it sounds like she's bothered by everyone all the time. And then this is when you start to bring up your voice and you talk a little bit louder, or you start to maybe whisper it in a way. So it's creating the character because you're trying to understand the scenarios, as Tara says in here. Obviously, these characters aren't real people, but they're brought to life by a genius of a creator, fantastic writers, animators, directors, and then the actors who bring them to life. When you add all of these elements, you make this fictional character real, and it becomes real to people, and it plays such massive roles in people's lives. I mean, think about all of the animated characters that had an impact on your life, a positive impact. And that's the beauty of being able, as an actor, is you're bringing these characters into the real life realm and making them real. And that is all done by professionalism and just understanding the character. All right, so up next, we got Tom Kenny. Tom Kenny is world-renowned voice actor and an actor in general. Everyone knows him from playing SpongeBob SquarePants, but he also doesn't just do SpongeBob. He does the narrator, he does Patchy the Pirate, so he plays multiple roles in that one TV show. So Tom, he talks about, I wrote down on here on some notes, and sometimes I forget what I'm going to say, so I write it down right here so I can remember. But Tom explains how understanding SpongeBob's quirky personality and quirks helps him deliver the character's voice for more authenticity. The way he explains how he created the voice, there is some cussing in it, so I'm gonna bleep that out. But his story I thought was super funny, so I thought it was a perfect video for us to react to. So let's go ahead and let's play it.
There was at the same commercial on Camera Studio. They were auditioning. They were auditioning for a TV commercial that involved elves, Christmas elves, like a holiday commercial.
Yeah.
So it was all these little people.
Yeah.
Hanging around. A lot of them had their own elf costumes because that's what they do. Like if you're a fat guy with a white beard, you go out for the Santa stuff.
Sure.
If you're a little person with an elf with curly-toed shoes, you go out for those auditions.
Yeah. Stop renting. Buy the shoes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there was one guy at the audition. He was, in a different part of the corridor.
Yeah.
And he was hanging with a couple of his buds.
Yeah.
And just the most bitter, ticked off little person in an elf outfit you've ever seen.
So, this is the only, if it wasn't for the Christmas I wouldn't work. This is the only time of the year that I work. It pisses me off. It's like, I'm glad to have it, knock on wood, but mother, it's like...
And I was just like, wow. And I told Steve Hillenburg that story years go by.
Yeah.
And he remembered that story. I'd totally even forgotten the story because it was something that happened to you on a day, and then you tell people that you run into that day, and then you kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
And he said, remember that guy? So,
that's kind of where SpongeBob came from, sort of like a munchkin, like a...
without the negativity.
An angry little person.
Yeah.
Gave you the gift.
So the story is super funny. He goes to this audition Christmas event, and he notices this little person who has a fiery, feisty personality and a even fouler mouth. He created something off of a real life experience, pulled from the real world in order to come up with a voice for arguably one of the most iconic, and I mean iconic, animated characters of all time. One of Nickelodeon's most successful franchises, SpongeBob SquarePants, is one of the most recognizable IPs in the entire world, and SpongeBob's voice is so unique and so brilliant. I mean, obviously SpongeBob is happy-go-lucky, he's fun, he's energetic, he's goofy, but he created that voice off of a negative experience that this little person had during this audition. And it's so weird how a lot of the times this is how it happens. Now, this is a great segue for our next actor, who is Peter Cullen, who voices one of the most coolest Transformers trucks of all time in Optimus Prime, and he also creates his voice from a real life person and a real life event, and I thought it was super cool, so I wanted to add him to this list. So let's go ahead and react to it.
But it's a story very dear to me, and it's the truth. It happened. My brother Larry, a captain in the Marine Corps, had returned from Vietnam. He was a decorated Marine, and the Bronze Star with my brother Larry, a captain. It's a story that I've told many times, and maybe some of you have heard it, but it's a story very dear to me, and it's the truth. It happened. My brother Larry, a captain in the Marine Corps, had returned from Vietnam. He was a decorated Marine, and the Bronze Star with V and a couple of Purple Hearts. And we were sharing an apartment, going through a difficult time in my life, when Larry came down, and it was about 1984, and we were, as I said, living in an apartment together. And he would always take a little interest in where I was going every day, because I was a grunt, as the Marines would say. You know, if you're a ground trooper, you're a grunt. Anyway, Larry's 13 months older, 5 inches taller. And, but we're 13 months apart. We were very, very close. So he said, "Peter, where are you going today?" He said, "Well, Larry, what, you need the car?" He said, No, I just want to know where you're going." I said, "I'm going to audition. I'm going to be, I'm auditioning as a truck." And he said, he did the same thing. And so I said, "But Larry, he's, evidently he's a hero truck. He's a real, he's a hero." And his face got somber, and he said, "Peter, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be a Hollywood hero type with all the BS and all the yelling and screaming and trying to be tough. Be strong enough to be gentle." "Okay, Larry, yeah." So as his voice is ringing in my ears as I'm driving to the audition, and I read the copy, and Larry is just coming out. His voice, the way he talked to me, and it said, you know, "I'm Optimus Prime." No, it was, "My name is Optimus Prime." And the softness in his advisory tone was significant, and so the words just rolled off my tongue.
So the cool thing about this story is he didn't pull the voice from an angry little person auditioning as an elf, but he pulls from his own family, his own flesh and blood, his brother. And his brother served in the military, and he tells him, you know, "Hey, I'm going to audition for this character, and he's a truck, and he's a hero." And his brother said, "Nah, don't be those Hollywood heroes, those egotistical, narcissists, loudmouths. Be a real hero." And I think what his brother said is really awesome. And he says, "Be strong, but be gentle." And if you notice, whenever there's real heroes, whenever there's strong men and women who are good and fight for justice, and whenever we watch these heroes in TV and movies, the hero is always capable of violence, but they are also good. They don't want to go and destroy the world and make it hard for people to live in, but they're good people with good morals, but they are capable of violence. And they will absolutely fight if they absolutely have to, and only when it is absolutely necessary. So, you know, when you think of Superman, Superman is the most powerful being, you know, amongst the heroes. He could literally evaporate the entire planet of Earth if he wanted to, but he doesn't, because he was raised by a good mom and dad that taught him love and compassion and to fight for the weak and stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. So there's a saying that it's always better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, because even though the warrior is capable of violence, he's gentle and he takes care of the plants and the agriculture. But when you put a gardener who has good intentions but isn't capable of fighting, he's going to die. And that's not to say that, you know, his life doesn't matter. It absolutely does. But, you know, he goes to this audition, Peter, and his brother's voice is just constantly in his head, and he remembers it. And then that's how he created Optimus Prime, who we know is the dopest fighter amongst the Autobots, but he's gentle and he's kind and he's friendly and he's compassionate. He's a leader. So it's really, really, really cool. I'm a big fan of Transformers, especially when the movies came out. I became an even bigger fan. Michael Bay. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I did. All right, so up next we got Jennifer Hale, and Jennifer Hale talks about understanding your character's personal traits and characteristics will help you create a solid foundational voice for that character. And if you don't know who Jennifer is, Jennifer has been around forever. She's another very prolific voice actor, voice actress. She is Commander Shepard in Mass Effect. She's been like tons of different character voices in like the Powerpuff Girls. She also is one of the Hex Girls, Thorn in the Scooby-Doo series. She also plays the voice of Cinderella in, I think, the second movie that came out in like the early 2000s. And then she's Jean Grey in the original X-Men series, and she is Jean Grey in the brand new X-Men 97 series. So let's go ahead and see what she has to say. Where are you, Jennifer? Where is your videos?
Characters in audiobooks are so interesting. They're completely different from other formats. They can't be too crazy or over the top because you'll lose the listener. Now, that being said, let's look at Pushkin. Pushkin's a fascinating character. Pushkin's from Shinzar, where there's intense gravity, and we had a Shinzar character in Sea of Stars, and we were able to sort of figure out that it's very wide in the body, but Pushkin has kind of a Russian flair to him. So he was here, and everything was very big with Pushkin, and very deep, and very wide, but very emphatic because he's very certain of himself. And I actually had to gain down a lot. When I did Pushkin, I could blow the mic out very easily. Talia was a really unique challenge, and I swear my phone was the greatest asset in that, because I have voice memos. And in my voice memos, that's where I have all my references for everybody, and I would frequently just call it up and say, okay, where's Talia? Where's Talia? There's Talia. I'll listen to her. Angry. 304. There we go. And she has a unique affectation in her speech that's kind of Hutterite in its flavor. So I would listen to this, and then I would have her, and she would be right there, but I would have to come in for her a lot. She was a really challenging and interesting character, too. And for Alex is, he's doesn't have an accent of any kind, but he's a man. So I would kind of drop into my lower register, because I'm not a man, right? But I would drop into Alex's vibe, and that would be more down here, and also kind of muted, given what Alex has been through. That shifts and changes as the story goes along, but just a guy trying to get things done. That's where Alex lived.
So in this video, she's talking about different character voices that she created because she's doing an audiobook. So it's all her. So she's playing guys and she's playing girls. All right, so she goes over 3 different characters. And the first character she goes over, she says that he's very big, he's very loud, he's very expressive. So he lives like in this, he's so out, like up there, and everything he does is so big and so loud and expressive, and he's really there. So she puts out her chest whenever she does him because it helps her bring out his character because she's trying to become him. So another thing she does with the character Talia is she said it was very difficult. So she had to do voice memos, and I do a lot of voice memos. Whenever I am like a character comes to my mind, I record it, I'll sit down in a quiet place, and I'll just go over voices. So I'm gonna embarrass myself right now. These are all just characters. They're not solidified. They're not fine-tuned. They're just something that comes to my mind at certain points of the day, and I just record them. So try not to laugh too much at me, okay?
Please, mother. I would very much like to go to the Four Seasons in Orlando.
Well. Little Natalia Clay Charlotte.
You see, sports cards are a thing of the past. They're just not as crazy as they used to be. Hi, the name's Parcel, and I am a god.
But just, that's what I like so much that she said that, is that she does voice memos, because, dude, I do that, like, all the time. But another character she mentions is Alex, and she says that Alex is just a guy that's just trying to get things done, and he reacts based off of what he's going through in the moment, which obviously most people do. But she says she brings him into a lower register. She slows him down. She quiets him up because he's been through a lot. So he's not as extroverted as some people might be. He's more introverted, kind of keeps to himself, and just kind of he lives there. You know, he's there. So if you noticed, I kind of started to like try to go into that character that she talks about, because normally I'm very loud, expressive, very extroverted, so talk really fast. But yeah, so that was a really good one by her. So yeah. So this last actor that we're gonna react to is, I would say, when you talk to voice actors, he is an actor's actor. He is probably top 5 voice actor of all time. If you are in the voice acting realm, then you will know that Frank Welker is highly respected, highly regarded. So Frank discusses embodying the character and just letting the voice flow, letting it follow after, just really getting into the essence of your character and allowing the voice to come naturally. So let's go ahead and let's react to him.
To be the casting person from ABC, and they were casting Scooby-Doo's. I wanted to do Shaggy because that was the funny part. And Casey Kasem, who was doing Shaggy, he wanted to do Freddy because it was more of a serious acting part. We ended up getting the exact opposite parts. I ended up with Freddy, he ended up with Shaggy, which he was fantastic at. But how I came up with that voice was basically, it's my own voice with maybe 5 cups of coffee. You know, hey, would you do it for a Scooby snack? Oh gosh, well come on guys. Hey, I can drive because I have the license.
Okay, Scooby, go in and take a look around. We'll keep watch out here. No, I'm not kidding.
I've been very lucky to be involved in the Transformers franchise. And originally, I got involved in the show. I went in and there were all these drawings on the table, which is, I love that. I just love to look at something very visual, and then, you know, a voice will come. The voice I ended up with is, I am Megatron, leader of the Decepticons.
I belong to nobody!
They didn't fiddle with it all. I think they were so busy, they just said, oh, go with it. You know, there's probably a couple of surprising characters that I've done in the past. Garfield, Futurama, and believe it or not, I was Smokey the Bear.
Only you can prevent forest fires.
You know, I'd have to say that animation really remains a beloved genre in the entertainment business because of the fantasy element and of the ease of telling stories through animation. I mean, you can go anywhere.
So he was the original voice of Fred in Scooby-Doo. He's done other incarnations of Fred as well. He's also in Futurama. He did Garfield. He also he was the original voice for Megatron, and he did Soundwave, which are very beloved characters in Transformers. Frank has also done, like creature voice actor. I know he did a lot of the lion voices in The Lion King. Frank's been around since the beginning. And, when he talks about with Fred, which I don't remember Fred being so energetic like that. But he talks about, Fred is just basically 5 cups of coffee and then just boom, you're recording. But I'm the same as him in the sense of like being a visual actor. So I like to really look at what the character looks like and then be able to create something off of what I see rather than what I'm told. If I read a script and it gives me the description of the character, I still have to, because it is so important as an actor that you have a good imagination, have a creative imagination. Because if you feel like I can't create a voice unless I see it, then you're not trying, and you're not trying hard enough. It's showing that you still need more work to do. If you're not able to use your imagination, which if you're a voice actor, you should be creative, be wild, be zany, just make a choice and then commit to that choice and then follow through with it. Because you never know. You never know what these directors are going to want. They might not even know what they want until you give them the voice. With Megatron, he sees Megatron as this, this evil bad guy that wants to take over Cybertron, and he is a robot. And just know that he's sinister, he's dark, he's villainous, he's brutal. So he says, man, I just, creates this. I am Megatron, and he's kind of raspy. I can't go that deep because not deep like Frank is, but I am Megatron. I belong to nobody. Now, if you can't do that voice for 4 hours, I learned the very hard way that if I do that kind of voice for a long period of time, I rip my chords in my voice and my larynx, and you could start to bleed and you could really damage your voice. So if you can't do something, don't hurt yourself trying to play a character, trying to create a voice. It is just, if you can't do it, you can't do it. But you should work towards seeing if you can. And if you know for a fact you've done everything that you're supposed to do and it's just not working, it's okay. That's the great thing about voice acting, is you might not be good here, but you could be good doing this. So Frank's brilliant. Yeah. All right. So if you guys stayed with me to this very, very end, I strongly appreciate you guys watching this video. If you guys like voice acting, you like anime, you like animation, then you definitely need to subscribe to my channel. Give that a thumbs up, leave a comment, because it really does help me out. But by watching these clips, we can effectively now know that this demonstrates that focusing on the character rather than just strictly focusing on the voice limits us and holds us back. It's like we're bounded by these chains that we can't break off of in order to create a fantastic voice, because we are creating a fantastic character. So being the character is so much more important than creating the voice. The voice is going to come naturally when you are that character. You become that character. You are the essence of that character. You allow it to live in your head and you bring it out when it's time to play. You visually look at the description of the character. You look at what they look like, and you just take some time and you make a choice. You pull from real life events that are going on, that you've experienced or you've seen, and you can just remember that, what is your character's responsibility in the show? Why are they there? You pull from your who, your what, your when, your where, your why. And then you can create a fantastic voice because you became a fantastic character. And that is the key to being a successful voice actor. So, hey, I don't know why you guys watch my video, but you do. And for that, I am very, very thankful. Until next time, I will see you later. Deuces, later, bye.